Welcome to the Weave Your Magical World podcast, Debbie. Thank you for being here. I have Debi Francis here with me today, who is a soul voice teacher, and she's the only one in New Zealand, so that's really exciting. And she uses sound as an art form. She's also uses color through a modality called aurosoma and movement through Feldenkrais, which are really amazing, beautiful topics to talk about in themselves. But today we're going to focus on soul voice and the sound, and using sound as an art form and a way to heal and to change your life and move through trauma and connect more deeply to yourself and so many things. And I've experienced your beautiful magic, Debbie, through doing one of your soul voice courses. I think it's the initial course that you teach, and also through one-to-one. I've done a couple of one-to-one sessions with you, and we can talk about that later on, but it's transformative. It's amazing. I know other people who've done your work and have just found connections to themselves they've not been able to find through other things. And so I just had to bring you on today and share your beautiful magic with everybody else. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this. So I want to start by asking you, first of all, how you came across soul voice, and were you already doing things with sound before that? What did your life kind of look like before you came into this?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So when I was in my probably 30s, when I had my children, I'm a mother of 3 children, and a lot of suppression of emotions would come up during the motherhood. And so unbeknownst to me, I would go down to the beach, because we lived near the beach, and I would pick up stones and throw them into the sea as hard as I could, and just be yelling and screaming to really feel that emotion being expressed. So that was probably one of the first times, and that was when my children maybe were 5, 3, 2, and 5. And it wasn't from them, it was just that the tiredness, the exhaustion, and also just suppression of the childhood, my childhood, would come up through
Right.
bringing them up. So yeah, that was really interesting. It was a great release as well, because then I was letting it out on the ocean and out into the universe, instead of out on my children or my husband. So yeah, it was a great release. But also Judy Satori was a great influence, and for me, she's a light language. She speaks light language, and so I went to one of her courses, and she kept coming in one of the groups, and this is in Mana Retreat, and she kept coming and going like this on my third eye or first eye. And all of a sudden I just started swaying like this, and the sound just came out of me from nowhere. And the women that were there was 44 women, strangers to me, and they came up to me later and said that I'd really touched something deep, sacred inside them, and they were crying. And so that was the real beginning of my sound journey. And then I was told that this woman called Karina Sheldy of Soul Voice actually helps develop the voice. So then I investigated further, and I waited 2 years for her to come back to New Zealand, and that was 2010. Yeah, so
And that's when you began training with her.
Yes, and that's when I began the training, 2010. Yeah, with Karina Sheldy and the Soul Voice method.
Wow. And so it seems like something that you were naturally kind of open to, and then those synchronicities just kept lining up to say, hey, look, this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes. And when I was growing up, I loved to sing a lot, but my childhood didn't really allow for that expression. So I was a very quiet child. And from my very quiet child and the trust had been broken. And so now I really am able to express, through the soul voice method. It's
And so
incredible.
when you just said the trust had been broken, do you mean yourself to yourself?
No, from a parent, from authority figures, the people that you really trust when you're growing up.
Right.
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah. So you bring up singing, and this is something I know that I repressed in myself from a young age as well. I decided that I didn't have a good voice, and so this is one of the reasons I wanted to do your course, because I know that, like, I've had some singing lessons in the past and my voice actually improved a lot, and this surprised me because I just thought, oh, I'm not a good singer. But I think this is one of the lies we tell ourselves, is like, I can't do that. I'm bad in that way. Like, have you experienced lots of people who can really connect to their voice? I mean, we don't want to judge it and say good or bad by what it sounds like, of course, either. But do you find that people are able to kind of really bring their true voice out when they start doing this work with you?
Oh, absolutely. But and in that saying with the soul voice, it's not so much about singing or sounding, because they're both the same. But at least with the soul voice method, the voice is able to come out in whatever way, in whatever expression, in whatever tone, and whatever noise, or so it's really authentic. So we call it the authentic voice, because it's not coming from our head, where this is what we're doing now, we are thinking of what we're saying, and then it's coming out how we really want to be presented. But the soul voice method is all about allowing any sounds, any emotions, any attachments, any life urges or death urges. So anything can come from when we breathe into the body. So it's the deeper body wisdom through the sound that comes out. So it's the depth of who we are.
I love that. And so I think this is my judgy head where it's kind of like, I like to hear nice sounds, quote unquote nice sounds, like if you're listening to someone or something. And I certainly love the sounds that you make on the course, and when you do sound healing with me, I think that the sounds you make are amazing. Of course, I'm not sitting there through I mean, I know you've made dissonant sounds as well, and I think they're amazing in their own way as well. But if you're going to listen to somebody for a period of time at a concert or something, you've got a beautiful voice. And so I'm just interested to know, did that come through? Because in all of us, we also have that range that sounds beautiful, or is that me being judgy and we shouldn't have to worry about the sound at all?
Well, through that exploration of your own sounds comes the beauty.
Okay.
So when you are refining, it's like an instrument, just like a musical instrument. When you refine it, refine it, practice and practice, then you can play the musical instrument in however you wish. And that's just like the voice. So when we know what sounds we can make, then we can be on tone or we can be dissonant. So it depends what sound is needed at the time for the body or for someone else.
Okay. And so you do find that range of tone and the ability to be really, really dissonant and really, really so-called beautiful, the range expands to be able to do
yes.
that.
Yes, it's about being expansive but still being grounded. So that's very important. So as much as we go out into the universe with our sounds, it's important to be embodied so that we're fully grounded in our physical body as well. So that, because that's why we're here, we're in a physical body, and to be able to expand our voice in that way, it moves mountains. Very empowering, very powerful. And it also unblocks different parts of ourselves that maybe have been laying dormant for many years, maybe lifetimes. So that's the beauty of sound.
That is, I mean, I love that you say maybe lifetimes as well, because absolutely. I was I had a quick chat to my partner Phil, who you know,
Mhm.
just before we jumped on, and I said, you know, what's this sound been for you? Because he's very someone I see is very connected to his voice, and very like he will sound in the shower, in the garden, and all the time, and just start making noises. And I love that. And he said when he did your course, it really connected him to some emotions that he had just never felt before. Like it was like deep anger, and he really, really connected to that. And so I want to really talk about now just the emphasis of the healing and the reconnecting and processing of trauma and things like that. Can you just talk briefly about what happens with that?
So the body is full of stories, and stories can come from childhood, from relationships, from breakups, from betrayal, from even as far back as being a baby and feeling abandoned or feeling like we didn't have enough love. And so those are all stepping stones of how we're going to be in ourselves as an adult or even as a teenager. So all those stories, they all build up. And if we haven't been able to express along that path at those times, then it just gets suppressed and it's suppressed. And it's sort of like a boil in a way, because if the boil is filling up and filling up and filling up, and it's never being able to release, then at one time or at some stage, it's either going to get very septic and go through the whole body and poison the whole system, or it's going to explode like a volcano.
I have such a visual mind. This is gross. I'm just like seeing this whole thing.
Or let's say a volcano instead of a boil, but a volcano. But because
Great analogy. It was
but it's related to the body.
Yeah.
So a boil is, or even it could be an inner boil. So, you know, people present with cancers, with cysts, with brain tumors, with problem kidneys, problem livers. So it's all about emotion. Some of it is lifestyle with nutrition, but a lot of it is to do with emotion, because someone might be eating a beautiful, healthy diet and still they have pain in their body, or still they don't feel good in themselves. Yeah. So that's where sound can play a major role.
Even when it is nutrition, though, I find that it's the emotion that will drive them to eat certain things or not be open to learning more about nutrition and things. So I feel like it always does come back to the emotion, even if it is a nutrition thing generally.
That's right. Yeah, because emotions, they block the body, or they are blocked in the body, within the body. And so once they are allowed, you know, we give them permission through sound. Once they are allowed permission to be expressed, then it can move on then to the next blockage in the body, because we're all energy. That, you know, it's the energy, it's the movement of energy, and the sound can guide to the next sound, to the next sound. So the sound is the guide when we're sounding. So it's allowing the head to move aside that analytical, critical, inner judgment, and allowing the body to speak. So it's what we call the body's wisdom.
And you did mention a few different illnesses and things. Have you worked with people who have had illnesses like this that have?
I have worked with someone that comes to mind with fear. So the emotion of fear, which was, you know, like tremors, fear, and anxiety. So this particular person came for 10 sessions, I think it was about 10. And then they were able to do a lot, everything that they wanted to do. But before they came to see me, it was hard for them to even come in the door.
Wow.
So the trust was completely sabotaged. And so that was amazing to see that. And the way we worked, we got deeper and deeper into the core issue of what was happening. So it's amazing. It's a real process.
It is really, really magical. It's
Mm.
it's an incredible process.
And the thing is, what I love about soul voice, it's not I fix the person.
Mm.
It's they reveal their inner knowing of sound to themselves, and that's the deepest healing anyone can give themselves.
Yeah.
Their voice is their own healer.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a real journey, the different exercises that you took us through on that course and the different exercises that you do with us. And I know that you're very in tune with the person and very intuitive to what they need and supporting them with your own sound as they're sounding. And I feel like that's such an important part of it, because it gives us permission. And I feel, one of the reasons I really wanted to do your course was I feel like sound would be the area that I was most shut down in with everything, because I've done dance and movement. I'm quite comfortable with waving my arms around and being silly and all that kind of stuff. But sound, it was like, we talk quietly. We talk quietly if we're like in a public situation, and we do all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so you must see a lot of people who are very repressed in their sound.
Well, that's how we're brought up, especially in certain cultures, is that we are to be seen and not heard. And we're always told when we're little to shut up, to be quiet, to listen. Yeah, and it's the whole throat chakra is closed down early on in our culture.
And what do you find this does to people?
So what it does is it makes them walking zombies in a way, and they don't even know it, because there's a part of them, I guess there's the two parts of the person. They wish they could, because they feel, I mean, everyone feels emotion, and they want to express it, but they don't know how. Two, they don't feel safe, and three, it's not permitted. And so when they get a chance, or they give themselves permission, or they're allowed in a really safe, contained space, then they walk out a completely transformed person. And I see this a lot, especially with women as well. A lot of women who have had to be quiet, who are afraid to speak up. And especially in this time on our planet, the voice must be heard. And there's so many people that could really come alive if they can get in touch with that inner voice, that inner knowing, that intuition that we're all born with. But it's a skill, and it's not throughout our lives. Intuition is never it's never expressed in that way. I mean, we're not even taught. The word intuition, it's not to be trusted. So intuition is feelings and emotions. That's who we are as human beings. So to bring that alive in ourselves, and to be able to bring that alive in someone else is very magical, and it's very empowering for them. So
yeah, because it's a huge area to be shut down and intuitively, and to not be receiving sounds or vibration, because it's vibration, isn't it? Like we are vibration, and everything is vibration. And to not be expressing that, and to not be allowing that out, and to not having that, I don't know, it must lower your vibration not to be expressed.
yeah, a story comes to mind with a client who had a huge problems on her ovaries, and we sounded into that, and we sounded away, and that was through dissonant sounds. So the dissonant sounds, which are sort of classed as ugly sounds, they are the ones that really penetrate the cells, and they bombard them, and they dissipate. And that has science has proven that certain sounds can actually attack cancer cells, and they dissipate the cells, they break them up so that they can't grow any longer, and they kill them. And that's what sound can do. Like in Soul Voice, we have sound surgery where we always work on the person and open their bodies, or whatever part we're working on, we open that up with soothing sounds, and then the intuition, or whatever, they're in tuning with their bodies, and we'll bring in a sound that is like a surgery. And that really, it's like when you're at the dentist, or when that those sounds that can be so piercing, they like shake your body. And that's similar to the sounds we make, because as a human being, we can make any sound, if it's refined, if it's with feeling. So it's not like we just come and make a sound for the sake of it. We're actually in tune with that part of the person that we're working with or on, and the sound will come through, will come through me.
Wow.
The beauty of sound, when it comes through us without thinking, without analyzing, is that is our absolute essence of truth. And that's how it can come through us. And so even a hum, I mean, if someone had cancer, say, or a problem with their heart, or a problem with their thyroid, or then they could hum into that area, and simply humming can change the cellular makeup of what's going on. And it's being, like, say, having an intention of what they want to do with that sound. So that's how powerful. It's just with an intention can be powerful enough. And then the sound, the humming, or an R sound, because the alphabet is very healing. The vowels of the alphabet.
The vowels of the alphabet.
The vowels, yeah. Yes, the vowels of the alphabet. And interesting that the Maori, the Italian, they have these beautiful vowel sounds, and that's similar with sounding. They just automatically come out. It's incredible. So it's not like we go ah, but the ah. So that the resonance, it's all about resonance as well. The resonance that feels right for that particular person.
So let's say you had a cold. Would your go-to thing be sounding?
My first would be, because it's physical, would be supplements and sleep. So the physical, and then if it wasn't going away early enough, and maybe as well as just checking in. So asking, where is it in my body? So it might not be my throat, it might be presenting as my throat, my chest, but it may actually be somewhere else in my body that has initiated it. So then going to that part of the body, and that's the body's wisdom. Because in our minds we think, oh, cold, it's here, but it could be the busy mind, and it could be a broken heart, or it could be not being able to move forward in life. And so the cold is representative of that. And it's like, hang on a minute, let's just take a break, take a rest, and see what's really going on. So even as simple as a cold can be an initiator of something else happening in the body that we just need to listen to.
I love that. It's a really powerful thing. And then using the sound, you would listen to that, and you would hear the perhaps emotion or the plea from the body via a sound, and it would start off as a dissonant sound, as a quote unquote ugly. I like the word ugly. I think ugly is great, and I want to bring more ugly in, but so more of the dissonant sounds. And then what you would always guide me through is, from the dissonant, they would gradually become more resonant.
Yeah, so we match. So whatever you're feeling, or whatever's presenting, maybe it's a sore throat, or it's a sore shoulder, or maybe it's even, you can't feel it anywhere, but it's somewhere in the abdomen, but you can't pinpoint it. So it's like just breathing into that area, and then matching the sound with the pain, or the the hurt or the wound or the trauma. So if someone is so, because the thing is that in our society, we're so busy rushing here and there that we don't stop. People don't really give themselves that time to stop and listen. And so some people, and I've worked with people, they can't feel anything. They can't feel anything in their body. They know there's a pain or that something's not right, but they don't know where it is and they can't feel it. So then we work with the breath to bring them deeper into their body. So those people, and I was one of them when I was younger, always living here, like not in my body at all. And that's where Feldenkrais, I'm a Feldenkrais practitioner, and that's where Feldenkrais helped me bring myself into my skeleton, into my bones. So that was an important transition for me. And then sounding deep into my bones was a really solid and a concrete way of understanding who I am and why I'm here. I call it the seat of my soul, of existence.
Which I think so many people are searching for and looking for.
Yeah, it's a lifetime journey, isn't it? Because we're always changing, we're always transforming, transcending. Yeah, so it's not like, oh, I want to go to see someone for sounding and that's it. One is, and then I'll be all ready and no problems. But that's not life, is it? It's not the destination. It's just that flow of where am I now? What could I be doing better? And where can I open myself up more to my own possibilities, my own potential?
Your own magical world.
Yeah, exactly. My own magic. Yeah, for sure. So sound can do that in an instant because it can change the thought patterns that may be holding that person back. And even with like a roar, like a, doing that for 5 minutes is a long time. Even doing that for a minute and just jumping up and down and shaking the body and screaming as loud as they can, just doing that is incredible. It's an incredible motivator as well to start the day. And that's what we do with our teaching tribe, our Australasian teaching tribe. We come together every week and we do a meditation for the whole planet. So, and we start off by the releasing sounds, which are, just
I can imagine
it all out.
There's some full-on sounds from the planet at the moment.
Yeah, yes, yeah. We're helping hopefully to make some major shifts be happening.
Yeah. Well, they're definitely happening, and they're certainly looking like dissonant sounds at the moment.
Yeah. We have a 3-part. We've been working with the elements on separate occasions on each of our meditations. So we'll ask the element of water or the element of earth to transform what's happening on the planet, and we all share our experience at the end of the meditation. But we also do a 3-part meditation where 5 minutes to release everything of our day or what's going on for us and any problems, dissonance and discomforts. And then we move on to coming into our heart and sounding out to the planet, to people, to governments, to land mass, wherever we're drawn to at that particular time. And that sounding might be dissonant, and then always finishing with the harmonious sounds, which are very, very powerful as well. And then coming into the tree essence. So we're embodying all that we've sounded into our tree essence, our tree medicine, and connecting in with the stability and the strength of the tree energy.
Oh, that sounds so
good. So it's a real cathartic meditation. It's definitely not one just sitting, hoping, wishing, and it's very mindful, but it's an energetic sounding meditation.
I love it. I'm going to do it. So we talked about the dissonant sounds and what they're doing and how they can actually break up cancerous and stuck energy within the body and shift things. And and how they can be kind of like surgery. So what is it that the resonant sounds are doing?
The resonant sound. Well, all sounds are resonant,
Oh,
but
sorry,
the
what are the
harmonious,
pretty sounding ones? What do we
yeah,
call it?
the harmonious
Harmonious,
sound.
harmonious.
Yeah, the harmonious sounds are like soothing. They're like the lullaby. And we have a technique in the soul voice called the one sound. And once we've worked on that particular area of the body with the dissonant sounds and the sound surgery, and then we stand back, we tune what would be the greatest healing sound. And that sound is a sound that we sound, forever, could sound forever. And that's like the real harmonious healing sound. We call it the one sound. And we do that for maybe 10 minutes to really fill the body up with its magical healing sounds.
And you
So
said that you tune it to each person, so it's going to be different for each person and
absolutely.
their moment.
Yes. Even with the universal sound, we have the US sound, which is called the universal sound. So that is like the blueprint that comes from the cosmos through us, and then we sound that out. So that's another technique. And that is a technique if the person, so there's no dissonant sounds in that particular session. It's so they want to work on their kidneys. So we come up with they come up with an affirmation or intention for their kidneys and the highest healing outcome. And then the sound, we listen to the greater sound, the absolute blueprint of the kidneys that is universal, the universal blueprint, and then to bring that sound in through to the person's kidneys in a personal way. So that's a beautiful technique. One of my favorites is the universal sound. It's very high vibration, very high, very powerful.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And so how have you used sound in your own life? And I know you talked about it before you actually studied with Karina Sheldy, and how you used to use it with your kids, but how do you use it now, day to day, month to month, year to year, to change your life, to better enjoy your day to day? So what sort of things have you done?
Yeah, so if I'm feeling a bit down with especially what's going on in our world at the moment, quite chaotic, so I will do it with my drum, I've got a drum and I sound with my drum and just let it rip. Just like letting go for me is the ultimate in liberating myself in that moment. So not saying I haven't got time to do this, or I'll leave that for later, but in the moment is the best time to be able to just release feeling of depression or hopelessness, and then also gratefulness and compassion. It can also be sounded within myself. And as we sound, as anyone sounds, we're actually sounding that energy for the collective. So we're transforming the collective energy of that emotion. And that's the other beauty of sound and the art of it. I see it as an art form because it's always changing. There's always a painting that can be worked on with sound, can be revealed in sound and expressed, and be amazing to actually see. I actually haven't done that. That would be quite an amazing project, to sound and then to paint afterwards. I mean, we do workbooks and we come up with our drawings, but to actually come up with a painting, that might be a good idea in the future.
Or sound while you're
painting with sound.
Yeah, absolutely. And seeing what comes up. Yeah.
And the other thing I've done too is I've been in a studio with a recording studio, and I have recorded about 8 tracks. I guess I can't really call them songs, but they're tracks, and it's total improvisation. So I go in there, I have an intention, and then whatever sound comes out, like I might be sounding the emotions of Mother Earth at that time, or the sounding the rain or the elements and the feeling of them at that particular time. So Yeah,
I
it's
don't know
been fun.
if this is appropriate or not, but can I ask you to make some sounds for us?
Yeah, sure.
Could
What would be your intention?
well,
Hmm.
definitely right now would be the intention that um that people are coming back into their true essence, really. That because I think we've been so repressed for such a long time, and we're so much more than what we know that we are, and we're in so much fear. And I think a lot of our lives at the moment are governed by fear and governed by other people's opinions and and barriers and boundaries, and it would be beautiful just to have some sounds of what it sounds like when we really come into into ourself. We're connected with our soul, we're grounded on the earth, we're all of that, we're all of ourselves.
Yeah, so really bringing that grounded feeling of that inner power, I guess, as well. That inner power that they have, their spine can propel themselves forward in an enlightened, to the light, or in an enlightened way.
Yeah, and lift them, other people up, well, knowing, because we all know that when we lift ourselves up, we also
Yeah,
provide that opportunity for others to do that too. So it is that community feeling of I'm doing this for me, and I'm doing this for all of us at the same time by taking care of me, which is, I think, something that can get lost. It's like if if we're not putting ourselves first, we're not putting anyone first. And so that's something that I think this message has been getting a bit twisted lately, is that we have to constantly think of other people in order to help
yeah,
them.
yeah,
For me, that
yeah. We are reliable. We're responsible for them, but no, that's right. We're all responsible for our own inner health, our inner being,
that just
well-being.
disempowers people if we're like
Yes, yeah.
putting
It's like,
out.
I give my power to you, and the whole of the soul voice is, I empower myself. Yeah, I am my own power, and yeah, that's the whole of, being empowered through our
Which
own.
is the most powerful thing for helping other people, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So with that in mind, I'm just going to now let you just feel whatever comes through, and I'm excited.
Okay. So I'll see if there might be some all sorts of sounds. So we'll just
Yeah,
see what comes through.
beautiful, beautiful. No limits.
Okay. And what, just for 5 minutes, or?
Yeah, 5 minutes will be
Yeah,
beautiful.
three
If it
minutes.
goes longer, that's fine. Whatever feels
Yeah.
right to you. I'm just going to trust your intuition on this.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Thank you so much. It's so beautiful just having that vibration wash over me. There were some points where the sound wasn't quite picked up on the audio, but I could still feel the vibration of it, which is really interesting, because there was a slight sound, but it was sort of, the vibration still seemed to come through. So how do you feel now, having just sounded in that way?
So that was just a number of minutes, and my whole body is vibrating like I'm sitting on a stool, and feels like there's just little shimmers going all the way down through my body, and I'm very like, ooh. But in a beautiful way. It's like, it's like a coming home.
Yeah. And I can see that in you as well. And I feel, how do I even describe that? Yeah, I think I feel more in my body as well now, and more, yeah, it's just a good feeling, because I think as well, when we express our vibration and we get to know our bodies in that way, of that interaction with the vibration, and we can really feel it, like it feels good. It can also not feel good, because I think some people coming back into their bodies, who have left them for various reasons, cannot feel good. But that's a part of getting to feeling better, right? Is to going through those feelings.
It's unraveling the layers, for sure. And the thing is, the body is so innate in a knowing that it would never open up everything all at once. It's always only what that person can handle at that
yeah, thank you for pointing
time.
that out. That's such a good thing to say, because I think there's so many things that people are afraid of doing and afraid of getting into, and for someone to know that the body has this beautiful wisdom and is going to keep it safe, that's just really,
safety is always paramount. Safety, but also meeting the shadows in that beautiful way, that they don't have to know the story behind it, but it just wants to come out in a sound.
I wanted to ask you about that, actually, because you've kind of answered it, but do you find that the the story always comes up at some point, or it just sometimes you just don't need to know?
Yeah, sometimes it just there's a knowing of something that's not right, and sometimes there's an image, there's a word, or there's a person that's related or connected to that, and other times it's just, I just need to get this out of my body, whatever it is, I just need to get it out. And so there's ways and means of targeting those parts of ourselves as well.
So as we both know, and many people know, you can have trauma so deeply suppressed, to say something from a childhood, that you've chosen to completely block out the memory. Of course, the body still remembers. And so would this be a way that, say, for some people, they may never remember that, but they can actually heal it through, like, it may never come up as a conscious memory, but through sound they can actually still heal it? Is that?
Yeah, and they can actually contact that particular part of themselves through the sound, because it's the subconscious body. And we have a session called emotional release, which can go for quite a long time, and that session, it's through the breath. There's different forms of breathing that the head then doesn't partake in it, so it can't control the person's fear or their want for not to do it, or their resistance. So there's always resistance to opening ourselves up to what we're not sure what we're going to find, the shadow. But with sound, it's an automatic. That's where the guiding of the sound, it guides the person through their body. And then maybe they're not used that, maybe they're not willing to work with it, or they're not ready to work with that deepest part of themselves at the start.
Yeah.
But then we get there eventually. But maybe it's in a 5th session or a 3rd session, or but it's to be held, in that really safe container, safe space, so that they're free and they feel safe.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful that there are these different means and different ways that we can connect to things, and that people can feel safe to this. Do you find that you get a lot of people who are really open to doing this, who maybe aren't open to other types of therapies or things like that?
I find, well, for myself, sound was the culmination of everything that I had dabbled in or was trained in. So it was like, yay, I found a modality that can cut through, straight through with everything that I all my experiences and my trainings. And so for me, sound is the ultimate, because we're made of sound. Everything is vibrating in sound. So it's like the ultimate in movement. And we use color as well, so we can and tune into a color that person might need, and then we sound that color into their bodies. So it encompasses color and movement, and that's really big for me as well. But when you say that, so I was just going to say, so some people are so open, so those people usually are, or sometimes can't generalize on, everyone's so different, but some people that are so open, they're the ones that need the boundaries. They need to know, where am I, and where am I meeting others, or what am I letting in? So some people are so open, but they need to be really grounded. They need to be so grounded that they feel solid, and then they can sound. So there's the other, there's two, the pendulum swings both ways. So it's really finding that beautiful balance in the middle, where we can always come back to our center, and we can sound wherever, whenever. And
so like empaths would be those kind of people that are so open. So open, and they want to sound, and they want to get the loudest sound, they want to get out there and whoa, but they where's their body? They're not feeling that the bones and the structure of themselves, so they can get really lost. So can be dangerous. Well, not dangerous, don't like that word, but it can be disempowering, and it can mean that they leak
their energy leaks outwards. So we want to come back into ourselves, so we're full and whole and complete and robust. Yeah, like our immune system. Robust and complete. Our immune system, our innate immune system for what's going on the planet. You know, when we first met the virus, the COVID virus, that was last year, and our Australasian teachers, we all sounded, we were in contact with it, with the consciousness of it. And it was incredible. We communicated with the virus, the consciousness of the virus. We did transform it and transmute it, and we turned it into a loving virus, a neutral virus, so it did no harm. So we wanted to meet the virus, and what was its meaning here on Earth, because I do believe that it was man-made myself. So it was just really interesting to meet the virus. So I have no fear about the COVID virus or the corona SARS-2.
So when you say you transmuted it into something that was loving, do you mean the entire virus that anyone would meet, or that for your personal experiences?
So the consciousness of it. So it's not like it's not like just the virus in its mutations and its how it enters the body, but we met it in its consciousness, and we communicated with it in that way through sound.
Well, so this is really interesting because in my view, in my beliefs, we are moving towards something that is really positive through this disruption, this chaos, this upset, this trauma that we're all experiencing, no matter what your beliefs are around the virus. I think everyone's experiencing some kind of trauma, whether it's fear of the virus itself, fear of the division that's happening between are you vaccinated, are you not? And then there's this division between like two sets of people who are all very wide-ranging different people on all both aspects, or some other kind of fear. But I feel that this is actually creating chaos and tumultuous kind of experiences so that we can unearth the imbalances that were already here, and then that we can come back to ourselves. Like that is my belief. And so do you feel like when you communicated to that virus, it was almost like you transmuted the intention to be loving, so it would be moving towards something positive? Is that what you?
Yeah. So and also what I felt was it was going to wake up a lot of people that are in a very deep slumber, and that's what
taking personal responsibility for themselves, like outsourcing that to say governments or something.
Yes. But what we could do as a country, what I do have visions of, is imagine if everyone had the same intention to neutralize the virus or the vaccine, or so that we didn't need either, and so that it was null and void, and we could all do that with sound, with that heartfelt intention. If everyone was on board, or even 100 people, I don't know how many people probably need.
They say 10% or something, don't they?
Yeah, 10 or even 5, maybe even 1%. And everyone got together at the same time, maybe for a week, and imagine what we could do. And that's only one thing, the virus. Imagine what else we could do, the vision and how we could change the whole path of planet Earth. There's so much potential in sound with the groups of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, intention alone is huge with groups of people, and then you have intention, and then bringing emotion, and bringing sound, and bringing movement. That was the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, is how important is the connection between movement and sound in the work that you do, and the healing that you facilitate. And
so if I'm working on a person and they're lying down, and I'm working through sound, but it just feels like it's not moving it, so I'll get the person to move or to shake, or I will come in with movement, because that's just as important. Or they might need to do a dance, or run on the spot, or because the sound can only go to penetrate a place in their body if they're allowing it. If there's just so much resistance, then the body has to move, and then that means the control goes, it dissipates, because if the person's moving, they're not thinking so much. So it's getting out of that thinking, busy mind stuff and control. If I let go, what's going to happen? Fear. I mean, fear is the greatest factor on our planet, fear. And but underneath fear is that love, and sometimes it's grief, and sometimes it's rage or anger. I mean, they're all beautiful, raw emotions that we've been born with, and they're motivators. And that's who we are. And it's not be afraid of our own emotions.
What was that last thing? Sorry.
It's we are told that some emotions are not good, like even sadness, to be sad in public, or it's to bring those emotions out, to be allowed to be expressed, and it's not making the person good or bad. It's just is. It's part of who we are. We are emotional beings, and that's what we need to express, to be free.
To be free. I love that so much. Thank you so much for that little korero about what's happening in the world and the things that we can do. I was just wondering if you have a piece of advice or a little exercise that somebody listening to this could do to experience sound for themselves in maybe a way that feels safe to them, or is it a good little intro into kind of getting into discovering the benefits of what this can do for somebody?
So something as simple as humming can transform the mind. So if someone's feeling ungrounded or a bit anxious, if they take a good strong standing position, like feeling into their feet and just humming into the base of themselves, the base chakra, or just the base of themselves where their hips meet, just sounding there for 5 minutes will make a different feeling. They'll have a different feeling when they come out of it. But if they want to go a bit further, so humming is very calming. It brings in inner peace, almost an inner bliss. But if it's like, I can't get into the humming, I feel like I really need to release something, just having a tantrum on the floor even, or if they didn't want anyone else to hear the sounds, to get a pillow and just screaming into a pillow and hitting a pillow it's a great release. And that's what children do. Children are automatic. They don't hold back in the moment. If they feel that they are real angry, they didn't get what they wanted, they release it. And that's what we need to understand as adults. Very healthy to do. But in that sense, if they do feel like they can, if you want to let go rage, then at the end of it, just coming into the silence and then sounding a loving sound, a healing sound, that just for maybe a few minutes, to then, because they've emptied themselves out of that expression or that raw emotion, and now it's nice to fill up that same place in their body with loving sounds, the healing sounds, and the harmonious, the soothing sounds, like a baby would love.
And I love that, because you're really being there for yourself. And this is definitely the thing that I teach my clients and that I've learned to do for myself. Always learning, right? It's as you and I were saying before we got on here, we're very much students of everything. And to really be there for yourself is how we teach others to be there for us, but what we need the most in the world. And so I think it's beautiful that you're teaching your children that, you're teaching your inner child that, you're teaching yourself that, you're teaching your students that, and you're embracing it even like more and more every day. So that's such a beautiful thing.
Well, there's one thing I'd like to say. When my children were little, I'd give them a baseball bat, and we'd pile up the pillows on the couch, and we'd get in line, and they would get to hit the pillows really loud and yell like a lion or scream like a cat. It was so funny, and they'd laugh, but it was just a way for them to really, use their whole self and let go whatever they wanted. Yeah,
That's gorgeous.
yeah. So they know how to use anger, yeah,
That is
or
great.
even sadness, yeah.
And so important, because I know I've definitely met people who are afraid to, because they sense, I don't know if they know consciously, but they sense there's a lot of unfelt, unexpressed anger and rage within them, and they're afraid of, maybe even in the past, if that's got out of balance, they're afraid of where that's going to go. And so to have a way that they can be by themselves in a safe space to actually start to safely let that out, so that it doesn't all of a sudden overflow when they're with their partner or their friends or their boss or whatever it is.
Yeah, so they're not projecting their anger on anyone else, but out safely. But I would suggest that if it was a deep issue or a deep trauma, that they would need to go to see a soul voice practitioner, just because sometimes people get stuck in that feeling and it might make them feel worse. So that little exercise is very much maybe for 5 minutes.
Okay.
5 minutes or 10 minutes tops for someone. But what I would like to show is there's some really good exercises in the expression into freedom book. That's Karina Sheldy.
Oh.
So there's some really, and some really good working exercises, like tree exercise, or working with the earth and feeling more grounded. So there's a lot of exercises in there which are really simple and are safe to do, but with the real emotion and getting right into the body, that would be wise to go to a practitioner. Yeah.
Just so you don't get stuck in it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because, if you haven't had experience with going into an emotion and then coming out of it, it can, when you get to the crux of it, and it's like this really powerful healing moment. But if you then kind of abandon yourself in that without having the knowledge that you'll keep going through it, it can, definitely, that can be
no, it can be really frightening. Yeah. So the deeper the issue, the deeper that the body will want to go. So yeah, so it's important just to stay in that safety zone.
Just to take the cream off the top.
Yeah. Well, you can go quite deep, but not for a long time. I think the longer someone sounds, the more they're getting into that, woo, how am I going to get out of this?
Got you. Yeah.
It's a journey. I mean, it's a journey through sound. Yeah. And we have many, many journeys that we can make within ourselves.
Yes, you can. I mean, even just from that very first course that I did with you, which I will do again at some point.
That's the 2-day. Yeah, so that's just an introductory workshop. So it's pretty
But there's
powerful.
so much in that.
Yeah.
Like there's so much in that. Like I would definitely benefit from doing that again before even doing another one. So yeah, there's a lot in it. I would definitely recommend anyone watching this to do this course with Debi, because it's life-changing, isn't it? Like it's really,
it is.
It's I find that it really connects you to yourself in a way that we just don't have that opportunity in the way that the majority of societies are structured today.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just about listening. The big thing about that course is as much sounding as listening, that deep inner soulful listening. So that you can't have one without the other. So,
that's so
and
true.
that's what we don't tend to do that on our planet, is listen. We always jump in, or we want to comment, or we want to give a guidance, but it's just to be that, those yogis, they just sit there and they just observe and they listen, and they know exactly what's going on.
And if they say something, it's like this perfect 5 words or something, you're just like, and that floors you, and then you've got to meditate on that for the next
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, it's totally relevant and pertinent. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're not always constantly. I remember challenging myself at a retreat I went on probably a couple of decades now, but I was just like, I realized that I was, while everyone else was speaking, you're trying to work out what you're going to say. And I just remember going, I can't even hear what people are saying. So
Mm.
I stopped doing that. And then now it's kind of a surprise what I'm going to say, because it's like, which is so much more fun because you get to hear everybody else instead of worrying what you're going to say in that moment. So
that's right, because you're present. You're present to the moment. And so it comes from a deeper, authentic part of yourself. And if we could all speak like that, imagine what the world would be like, you know, our real, authentic conversation. Yeah, yes,
so
there's
true.
something in that for sure.
Yeah. And I know when I came to see you, you really helped me get out of my head, because it's a default that I think most of us have, is that we go into our heads. And so
we're taught at an early age. At 5 years old, we read, we write. It's all mental. There's, you know, it's all the mental. So it's the creative, the imaginative art of ourselves is sort of pushed out as soon as we turn 5 and go to school. So that play, the imagination, you know, that whole creative part of ourselves needs to be re-nurtured and nurtured and nourished, instead of like, well, reading and arithmetic, maths, that sort of thing. Yes, it's just, and that's why we're all
naturally, if they're connected to then, if their creativity, right? It's not that those things are wrong or bad. I think it's something that people connect to and enjoy and find creativity within that, instead of being forced to do something.
Yeah. But the greatest surgeons and the greatest teachers are those who have that creative background as well. Even it's been scientifically proven that the surgeons that have that creativeness, or that they've nurtured that other side of themselves, they know exactly what to do in an emergency. So they have more maybe ideas, that they're not just so straight lined and how a job is done. They have other ways to do the same job. So that's really interesting.
It's really interesting.
So creativity is the major foundation of being human, to me, I believe, because from that we can do anything. You know, possibilities are endless.
And that's obviously that's intuition, creativity comes, that's the same line. So that's that's amazing. I feel like we've covered so many things. Is there anything else that I wanted to do? I really think we've really got to the main crutch. So what would be, because you mentioned very early on in our conversation that you know yourself, you know your purpose, you know why you're here.
Mostly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know within myself that, yes, I know this, but it's developing all the time. Like I'm learning more about myself and more about this processing and refining it and all this kind of stuff. So I suppose with that, would you share some of that, and would you maybe share perhaps the vision that you have with sound, or the vision that you have for our world? Do you have a vision for our world? I mean, at this moment, I think it's so important for those of us who are connected to our creativity and our intuition, same thing, to hold a vision for the world and where we're going. And are you doing that with your sound, and do you have that at the moment?
So the first thing I'd say, the first vision that when you were just talking is back to nature. I think we've lost that connection of where we've come from. And I think nature is our biggest storyteller and our biggest teacher, our only teacher, really. So coming back to nature and starting new communities and thinking differently of how we can be in the world. So my ultimate, so that would be the baseline, but my ultimate goal, I've always thought I would like to create a universe, another planet. So that's how I feel we are creative beings. We have so much power within us. And yet when we look at the world, we're so distracted with this one thing that's going on. And so that's all by design, so that we don't initiate, you know, these creative endeavors that can surpass anything that we may have thought of before. So that's my ultimate goal.
So is this like a very practical, tangible goal? Like, you know, some people are saying, can we live on Mars or the moon or something? Or do you
No,
mean
not in that aspect.
Yeah.
So I feel that I haven't done this myself yet, but I do. I understand, and I have that inner knowing that we can teleport to anywhere in the universe, but that comes from training, just like the voice. So with training, we refine our instruments. So with training, we refine the cells within our body so that we can make them disappear and reappear somewhere else. So I believe that the military are doing that already. I do believe that.
So when you say teleport, do you mean our astral bodies or our physical bodies?
Our physical bodies.
Ah, cool.
Well, the thing is, in a way, we have this illusion that they are different, they're separate. So maybe when we really come into understanding that there's no separation, then imagine what we can do then. I've felt that when someone, I went to a medium once and she said, all you have to do, she was talking to me, all you have to do is lay your hands on someone and you'll be able to heal them. So she said, I have these healing hands. And I didn't believe her, of course. And someone else had said, you are a true conduit for spirit. And I didn't, I was young and naive and I didn't even know what they were talking about. And then another medium had said that you are going to be working with terrestrial beings, off-worlders, to bring them into the light of the planet. Wow. And of course that was like, no, because I used to be really terrified, not of people, but of the unseen beings. So before Soul Voice, I was actually terrified of what I couldn't, the beings that I couldn't see. And I didn't know why, but I could never sleep with the light. I always had to sleep with the light on for many years until the kids were about 5, 6. It was pretty big for me being able to turn the light off. So in that imagination, I guess my imagination can go pretty wild.
Awesome.
So to me, and how I've been brought up in a sense and how I see life, there's nothing that I can't do. So if someone came to me today and said, I need you to present something to 2,000 people or to do a workshop for 2,000 people, and we want you to bring your aura soma, we want you to do some Feldenkrais and some and also talk about sound and do an actual workshop, then I'd be up for it. Like I don't shy away from challenges, because in me I know I could do anything, and same with anyone.
I love that so much, and I love that you hold that for yourself, because I know that when I first started on my journey, well, my whole life, my belief has been that people are just amazing, and my gift is seeing their gift, and I've always been able to see that, and it's just got more and more powerful. But it took me a long time to see that for myself, and so I love that you're in the place that you absolutely know this for yourself as well as other people, and I think that's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's just people finding their own truth and not listening to what someone said they can and can't do, because that's where people just bring in their own limitations. It's not from themselves, it's from other people's voices, other people's stories, and other people's worries and burdens. They take them on and they think it's part of them. So, and that's where sound can just flick them off, those stories, voices, that they're not the persons, they're from somewhere else.
Wow. Oh my God, we could talk forever, but we might just do some more chats at other times and dig into some other bits and pieces. But just want to thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for sharing so openly, and thank you for being you and doing what you do in the world.
Thank you for inviting me on. I've really enjoyed it.
It's been really cool.
Yeah. Well, enjoy your sounding.
I will. Cool. Bye.
Okay, see you. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening, for watching this interview with Debi around our voice and sounding and how powerful it is. I will post links so you can connect with her below, and please share this and like it so that other people can connect to their true voice and to heal in ways that are safe and beautiful and powerful and bringing them back into themselves. Thank you again, ka kite anō.